When it comes to the animal kingdom, there's no shortage of bizarre, strange, even creepy creatures. But sometimes the strangest things about them are things we don't see, like how many hearts an octopus has, or why pangolins have such strange scales. Today, we're diving into weird animal facts you never knew you needed, and some of these might just leave you feeling a little creeped out. First up, we have to talk about octopuses and their 3 hearts. Now you might be thinking, wait, doesn't one heart do the trick? Well, yes. For most animals, 1 heart is enough to pump blood throughout their body. But for octopuses, it takes a little more. All 3 of their hearts are crucial for circulating their blue-green blood, which might sound pretty, but isn't exactly good news for the octopus. See, the blood of most animals is red because it contains iron, which gives it the ability to carry oxygen from the lungs or gills to the rest of the body. But octopuses, along with other cephalopods, have a different metal in their blood, copper. This makes their blood a very unusual color, and also means they need more than 1 heart to get the job done. 2 of their hearts are located near their gills and work together to move blood through their gills, where oxygen enters the bloodstream. The 3rd heart sits near the center of their body and circulates the now oxygenated blood to the rest of the body. And if you thought that was confusing, it gets even weirder. Octopuses have 9 brains. Yes, you heard right, not 8, not 10, but 9 brains. The main brain controls basic functions like memory, learning, and movement. But the remaining 8 are dedicated to processing sensory information from each of their arms. So while an octopus can't talk to you about its feelings, it does have something like a gut feeling about the world around it. Moving on, let's talk about our next creature, the pangolin. This scaly mammal might look like a cross between a turtle and a pine cone, but those scales come with a pretty strange secret. Each of their scales is made up of keratin, the same substance your fingernails are made of. You see, pangolin scales aren't just for show. They serve as armor to protect them from predators when they're on land. But when these critters are hanging out in trees, their scales aren't quite as useful. To compensate for this, pangolins have developed a special adaptation, fur. While it's not as tough as their scales, this thick coat helps keep them safe from predators when they're climbing. But the transition from scales to fur isn't the only unusual thing about pangolins. These animals are also known for their sticky tongues. And we're not talking about the way your dog's tongue sticks out when he's excited. Pangolin tongues can be over 4 inches long and covered in tiny barbs that help them lap up ants and termites, their favorite snacks. But finding food isn't always easy. In some parts of Africa, pangolins have been spotted using tools to help locate termite mounds and ant hills. They use sticks to prod and poke at hidden insects, kind of like poking a pencil into a wall to find a hole. It might not sound like much, but using tools is a sign of intelligence, usually seen in primates and birds, not mammals like pangolins. So while we're still figuring out exactly how smart pangolins are, their sticky tongues and scaly fur make them one strange and wonderful creature. And speaking of strange and wonderful creatures, let's talk about blobfish. This deep-sea dweller is famous for being the world's ugliest fish, thanks to its droopy eyes and gelatinous body. But looks can be deceiving, because there's more to blobfish than meets the eye. Blobfish live in a part of the ocean called the benthic zone, which is super deep down, where sunlight can't reach. This means there's no photosynthesis happening, so it's a pretty dark and cold place to call home. But blobfish are perfectly adapted to survive these harsh conditions. They have special proteins in their blood that prevent them from freezing, and their bodies are full of sacs that help them float. But perhaps the most surprising thing about blobfish is their skin. Despite looking like wet noodles, their skin is actually slimy and almost hairless. This helps reduce drag when they're floating along with the current and makes it easier for them to glide through the water. But living in the depths of the ocean isn't without its challenges. Blobfish are often hunted by deep-sea predators like sharks and even other fish. But thanks to their squishy bodies and lack of sharp features, blobfish are pretty well camouflaged against rocks and seaweed, making it harder for predators to spot them. Plus, their gelatinous flesh isn't exactly appetizing, which also helps keep them safe from harm. So while blobfish may not win any beauty contests, they're perfectly adapted to thrive in their strange and sometimes scary environment. And speaking of strange and scary environments, let's talk about the narwhal. This Arctic whale is famous for its long spiraled tusk, which is actually just a tooth that grows out of the front of their upper jaw. Now you might be wondering, why would a narwhal need such a weird-looking tooth? Well, it turns out the answer is a little bit complicated. Scientists think that narwhal tusks are used for a few different things. First, they might help narwhals find their way through the ice in their habitat. The tusks have lots of nerves that can detect changes in temperature and pressure, which could help them navigate through cracks in the ice. Second, scientists think tusks might help narwhals communicate with each other. They can use their tusks to touch and tap on each other, kind of like whales playing the piano. And finally, male narwhals with longer tusks are more successful at mating. So having a cool-looking tooth can be a sign of good genes for potential partners. But the weird things about narwhals don't stop there. These whales also have the ability to change the color of their skin, which helps them camouflage in the icy waters of the Arctic. They can change from a dark grey to a lighter shade that matches the color of the ice, making it harder for predators like polar bears to spot them. Narwhals also have special adaptations to help them breathe in freezing temperatures. Their blowhole has a special flap that closes when they dive, so cold water doesn't go in and warm water doesn't come out. They also have an extra set of nostrils that open when they surface to help them breathe easily. So while narwhals might not be the biggest or fastest sea creatures, they sure are some of the coolest. Now it's time to test your knowledge with a quick quiz. Which of these creatures has 3 hearts? If you said the octopus, you're right. We told you all about their 3 hearts earlier. But don't worry if you didn't get that one right, because every journey through the weird and wonderful world of animals is a chance to learn something new. Thanks for joining us today. And remember, there's always more to discover about the amazing animals around us. So keep exploring and stay curious. We'll see you next time.